Kahasi and the Loon. This is a story of the frozen north. Every morning, the people would chant,
"Rise to meet the day. My face is turned from the darkened night to gaze at the new dawn awakening the sky."
In a small hunting village by the sea, there lived an Eskimo boy named Kahasi. Every day, all day long, he slept on a warm caribou hide near the lamp in his igloo. His mother would ask,
"Why don't you play with the other children? You should be learning how to hunt and fish so you will grow up to be a good man."
but Kahasi never answered. He stayed asleep by the lamp day after day, and no one could wake him.
Come and play with us, Kahasi.
Come outside and play.
What's the matter with him?
He's a good son. I will let him sleep.
One morning, before the sun was up, Kahasi heard a faint rustling sound and felt a feather-light touch on his cheek. He blinked his eyes open to see a beautiful black bird with white speckles on its back.
Who are you?
Hush, do not wake your mother. It is I, the Loon. I bring a message from your grandfather. Come.
Kahasi dressed and followed the loon outside. He whispered,
But I do not know my grandfather. He has been gone since my mother was a young girl.
That is true, but you'll meet him one day. Then he'll explain.
Together they went a great distance from the village. Until they came upon a flowering shrub.
What is this place? I've never seen such a plant before.
You must come here every day and eat 4 leaves from its magical bush. Then you will bathe in the waters of the stream. You must be strong when your grandfather calls for you.
Kahasi did not understand, but he ate 4 of the bitter leaves and bathed in the icy waters. And each day after that, the loon woke him and went with him to the magical place. And then before he was missed, the boy would return to his warm bed by the lamp. The people would say to Kahasi's mother,
He's a lazy one. What good is he to you or to our village?
He does not hunt or fish or even help me carry your igloo.
but Kahasi's mother would always answer,
He's a good son. He does not find trouble. Someday he will grow up to be a very important man. You will see.
One day followed the next until there came a season of hunger in the village. Time after time, the hunters returned empty-handed.
Nothing again today.
All the animals seem to be hiding.
What are we to do?
Kahasi woke to see the loon sitting beside him.
Why have you come, Loon?
Your people are starving. You must help.
Kahasi immediately went out to see what he could do. When he found the hunters gathered in the village, they all pointed and stared at him.
So you finally woke up. Where is the lazy one? Are you hungry?
You miss the food your mother always catches for you?
I will help you.
That is impossible.
How can you do what our best hunters cannot?
Kahasi held up a big walrus skin.
Each of you take hold around this. I will stand on it, then you will throw me into the air, and when I'm high enough, I will see where the animals are hiding.
The villagers had never heard of such a thing, but their rumbling in their stomachs told them to try. They bounced Kahasi higher and higher into the air.
There, I see a herd of walruses on an ice floe.
Quickly, the hunters began to grab their harpoons. Kahasi rode with the leader as they raced in the direction of the walruses. Kahasi sat silently in the bow.
You helped us find the walruses, but surely you do not think you can hunt.
Kahasi said nothing.
Let him stay. He may learn something.
They paddled through rough waters to the ice floe, and each time they drew near enough to throw a harpoon, a giant wave pushed them back. were exhausted.
We must turn back.
Kahasi stood up in the Umiak.
Paddle close once more. I know what to do.
He's crazy. Let us do what he asks.
When they drew close, a powerful wave lifted the Umiak high into the air. And Kahasi jumped from the boat onto the ice floe. And before the startled walruses had time to attack or dive into the sea, the boy began knocking their heads together. Then he picked up the stunned animals and hurled them one by one into the waiting Umiaks. When it could hold no more, Kahasi jumped back into the boat. The hunters couldn't believe what had happened.
It takes many men to drive a walrus.
How could a boy do such as this?
When they returned to the village, there was much rejoicing.
Look what Kahasi did for us.
We must thank him.
Villager 2 said,
Where is he? He's back asleep by the lamp.
days passed, and Kahasi slept by the fire, waking only to go secretly with the loom each morning to their special place. The people soon forgot how he had saved them from hunger.
Where is that lazy boy of yours? He saved us from hunger. Why are you not grateful? That was a long time ago. Now all he does is sleep.
One day, strangers came to the village, bringing with them a fierce giant.
Who among you can defeat our champion, or are you all too weak?
The giant was twice the size of the strongest man in the village.
But we cast shame on our people who refuse to fight. There's nothing else to be done.
One by one, the men took their turn to fight. While this was happening, Kahasi woke to see the loon sitting beside him in the sunlight.
I become one.
Your people are threatened by a fierce giant. You must help them.
Kahasi immediately went outside to see what the trouble was. He reached the circle of shouting people just as the giant tossed the last hunter aside like a mosquito. Laughing, the giant shouted.
You won't fight like women. Is there anyone among you that can fight like a man?
Kahasi stepped forward.
You have not yet challenged me.
Ha! Now you send this boy to fight. I'll throw him away like an old bone.
The giant reached out and grabbed Kahasi's arms, but he couldn't move him. He tried again and again, but it was as though Kahasi were anchored to the ground.
What is this?
Then Kahasi reached out and with one hand picked the giant up and tossed him beyond the last igloo in the village. The people cheered.
Yay!
The hunters hurried away to carry their champion off in shame. Back in the village, the people tried to thank Kahasi. Where is our hero Kahasi?
Where is our hero Kahasi?
He is asleep.
He's asleep by his favorite place by the lamp.
Soon after that, even harder times fell on the people. With great shaking of the earth, the mountains began moving toward the sea. Closer and closer the mountains came until they reached the edge of the village. The people shouted,
Kahasi, wake up, wake up. You must save us.
but Kahasi slept on.
I cannot wake him.
The people took anything they could carry and pulled their umiaks and kayaks to the shore. Just then, the loon swooped over their heads to Kahasi's igloo, and Kahasi awoke.
What is this, loon? Why is the earth trembling?
It is the mountains. They are attacking our people. You must help them.
When Kahasi crawled out of his igloo, the villagers were pushing their boats into the water, and he called to them.
Wait, I will stop this terrible thing.
Kahasi hurried past all the igloos that now lined the shore, and he held up his hands, shouting.
Go back where you belong. My grandfather would have it so.
But the mountains continued their march to the sea. The people called.
Come, Kahasi, save yourself.
But Kahasi ignored them and laid his hands against the biggest mountain. With all his strength, he pushed harder and harder until finally it was back where it belonged, and then he pushed another mountain and another until they were all in their places. After this, he took a giant piece of driftwood from the beach and dredged a space between the mountains and the village, all the way to the sea. This became a river which the mountains could never cross. Mother said,
Kahasi has saved us.
Then the loon came to Kahasi. You have done well.
You have done well. Your grandfather, he who pulls up the earth, needs you. He is old and becomes weak. He bids you hurry.
Unseen by the villagers, Kahasi got into his kayak and paddled after the loon. When they were far from shore, a giant whirlpool caught the small boat, swirling it fiercely. Kahasi tried to free himself with all of his strength.
Cannot get free.
Do not worry. It is but the way to your grandfather.
Ah, I understand now.
At last Kahasi understood. He dropped his paddle and allowed the sea to swallow him up. When the people searched for Kahasi, he was nowhere to be seen. His mother called,
Where's my son?
but before anyone could answer, the loon landed beside her. Do not worry.
Do not worry. Kahasi is safe. He has gone to be with his grandfather. Kahasi is now he who holds up the earth.
Now the villagers understood how important Kahasi really was.
Oh. I told you he would be an important man.
In all the days that followed, the people sang of his deeds, and each time they felt the earth tremble, they knew it was only Kahasi, the strong one, shifting the earth from one shoulder to the other. And the people sang,
I arise to meet the day. My face is turned from the dark of night to gaze at the new dawn